Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to the class. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin by chanting the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri 𝗹𝗶𝗹𝗹 Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaurtushe Namah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Mancha Kalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. We are studying Bhagavad-gita as it is, chapter 2, entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized, also known as Sankhya Yoga or Atma Anatma Viveka Yoga. So in this chapter 2, yesterday we discussed Sanjaya speaks to Dhritarashtra that after having seen Arjuna lamenting badly about his situation, Lord Krishna spoke to Arjuna. What did Lord Krishna say? He first rebuked Arjuna that the way you are acting does not become you because you belong to a great family and you are a Kshatriya. Why are you speaking, acting, behaving like a coward? Arjuna says, this is not my cowardice, this is my compassion. Out of compassion, I am speaking like this. And Krishna says, well, I call your compassion as petty weakness of heart. This is weakness of your heart, not really your greatness. This is something wrong in you. And then Arjuna says, I accept it. But no matter what, I cannot kill my teachers. I cannot kill my superiors. They are worshipable to me. I cannot even fight back with them verbally. So what to speak of shooting arrows at them? I should be showering flowers at them. Krishna says, but they are all corrupted. You can reject your corrupted teachers. And Arjuna says, still I can't because they are worthy of my worship. So we stopped the discussion there. That's the place where we stopped. We'll continue from there, from that particular verse. Before that, Mangalacharana. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Fullara Vindayata Patra Netre Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Prapannam Parijataya Totra Vetraikapane Jnanamudraya Krishnaya Gita Amrita Duhe Namaha. We come to verse number 6 now in the text, 2.6. Verse 2.6 is Na chaitad vidmaha kataranno gariyo Yatva jayema yadiva no jayuhu yaneva hatva na jijivishamas teva sthita pramukhe dharta rashtraha. Arjuna is saying, nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet, they are now standing before us on the battlefield. So Arjuna is perplexed now. He's not able to decide. And this is the fifth reason that Arjuna is telling, I don't know, I should fight or should not fight. This happens with us also. Like, you know what you're supposed to do, and you know what you're not supposed to do. And you have made up your mind, and still at the back of your mind, you are not sure. You're confused yet, right? And then at the end of, after such a discussion and deliberation, you will say, I don't know what I should be doing in this situation, right? So that's what Arjuna is saying. I don't want to fight, and these are the reasons. But then what to do? I am standing on the battlefield. They are all here and they all want to fight. And how can I just leave the battlefield? That is also not easily digestible to Arjuna. You know, I am a Kshatriya. How can I just leave the battlefield? So he has come to a point that I cannot decide. I'm not able to make a decision. That's the fifth reason. Indecision, not able to decide what I should be doing in this situation. So that's the fifth reason to not fight, confusion. So let's look at the confusion of Arjuna. He has two options. One option is fight. The other option is not fight. Now, if he fights, then there are two possibilities. What are those two possibilities? Would anyone like to say? If he decides to fight, then there are two possibilities. What are they? Please raise your hand. Yashishwari Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, can you hear me? Am I audible now?
Yes, very much audible.
If he fights, he feels he may win. Still, he will not be able to enjoy without his relatives.
Very good. So first thing is that if he fights, he may win, but he'll not be able to enjoy because his relatives will die. And what is the other thing if he fights?
Can I say that?
Yeah, please.
He may not emerge victorious in spite of so much bloodshed.
Yeah, he may lose.
No enjoyment is guaranteed.
Yeah, he may lose. He may die also. All right. So he's not sure. And if he does not fight, then Nanjumataji, what will he have to do if he doesn't fight?
So if he doesn't fight, he is losing his swadharma, like the kshatriya, and plus like also he will have to face the consequences.
Okay, but what else?
Of not being a kshatriya, fighting, going away from the battlefield, infamous.
That is there.
Prabhuji, can I say?
What else will happen if he doesn't fight? Yes.
Prabhuji, can I?
Yes, ma'am.
Begging will be his only means of subsistence.
Correct. Then he'll have to beg. If he doesn't fight, he'll have to beg. But then begging for a Kshatriya is not a natural thing, very difficult thing. Kshatriyas don't beg. That's against their psychophysical nature. They can only order people. They can never ask people, can you please do this for me? Not possible for them. So Arjuna is in a dilemma, confused, not able to decide. And in that situation now, he makes a decision. Now, this is something very important for us to learn. If you are students of Bhagavad-gita, we have to learn every single lesson from Arjuna. What does Arjuna do in this situation? He decides to surrender. He decides to surrender to Krishna. Right? All the wrong things that happen in our life, they happen for bringing us to this point only. All the wrong things that happen in our life. That's the only reason it happens. Because the creation has a purpose. The creation is not without any purpose. And whatever is happening in the creation is to bring every living entity in the creation to this point that I, on my own, am not able to handle my life, my situations, my problems. I need support. I need help. I need to depend on someone more superior, greatly powerful, and that's called surrender. The world has been designed to bring people to this point. Whereas people, especially some of those who come from Judeo-Christian background, they think the world has been designed as a place for entertainment, enjoyment, recreation, right? But actually the world has been designed not for that. The world has been designed so that we come to the point that I am frustrated, I am hopeless, I am helpless, and I need to now look for the real truths, the actual truths of life. So that's the point. Arjuna realizes that very soon, and he says, I want to surrender to you, Krishna. So that verse comes, 2.7, a verse which you have to memorize for your Bhakti Shastri. Karpanya doshopahatas svabhavaha prichhami tam dharma samudha chetaha yat sheyah syan nishchitam bruhi tanme Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Karpanya. Karpanya means weakness. Arjuna is saying, I am weak. I admit it. I have forgotten my duty and I have become a weak person. So now I ask you, Prichhami, I ask you, what is my dharma? What is my duty? What I should be doing? Yat Sheyaha. Now this word, you should just keep a note of it. This word comes again and again in Bhagavad-gita. Arjuna again and again asks the same thing. Shreya means good. What is good for me? What is good for me? What is best for me? He's again and again asking. You may even mark. He will ask the same thing in 3.2 and he'll ask the same thing in 5.1. The verse 3.2 and 5.1. Same thing he will ask. What is best for me? I want to know that. Huh? And he says, if Krishna says, why should I tell you? Then Arjuna says, because I have not decided to become your disciple, your student. So that's why please tell me. Then Krishna will say, next verse we'll talk about that later. Now here we have to learn one thing. Okay, 3.2 and 5.1. 3.2 and 5.1. We have to learn one thing, that when we accept to become a student or a disciple or a trainee under someone, we have to express it. Why? Because those who play the role of teacher, guru, trainer, counselor, guide, if they are actually very elevated souls and they are detached, they are not really interested in doing that job. They are not very much interested in doing that job. Because those who are the best teachers, they never consider themselves as the teachers. They are the best learners. They are always in the mood of learning. Those who are the best gurus, they never consider themselves as guru. They always think themselves as disciple. They never have that false ego that I am the guru, I am the teacher, I am the trainer. So we have to approach them and express the desire that I want to become a student. Then will they take the responsibility, that also with great reservation, because they're not interested in it. Only when we express, then because of having this feeling that I should help this person is asking me for help, they would agree to take that role or responsibility. Otherwise, they won't. They are very detached. Those who are genuine, they are very detached. They are not interested in that role and responsibility. So here when Arjuna says, I admit I want to become your disciple, first of all, Krishna says, no. He says, why you want to become my disciple? Go to Srila Vyasadeva, go to him, go to your Guru Dhamya Rishi. Why are you asking me? And Arjuna says, where is Vyasadeva in the battlefield? Where is Dhamya Rishi? You are the only option here. No one around here. You are the only option. And after all, you are my friend. So I have no other option. Please. And then Arjuna says, even if I will get Vyasa, and even if I'll get Dhamya, there is no one better than you who can guide me. That's why I want to become your disciple. So this kind of confidence one must have in one's teacher or guru, that you are the best one to lead me or guide me. When a student places this kind of faith in the teacher, then the teacher also without any reservation guides the student. And if the student doesn't place this faith in the teacher, then the teacher will do his or her job in a lukewarm manner. Just for the sake of doing it as a formality, but not wholeheartedly. So here Arjuna says, no other option. We'll go to the purport. It's a very interesting purport. First paragraph. Yes, someone please read the first paragraph. Seema Mat.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, am I audible?
Yes.
By nature's own way, to the complete system of material activities is a source of perplexity for everyone. In every step, there is perplexity, and therefore it behooves one to approach a bona fide spiritual master who can give one proper guidance for executing the purpose of life. All Vedic literatures advise us to approach a bona fide spiritual master to get free from the perplexities of life, which happen without our desire. They are like a forest fire that somehow blazes without being set by anyone. Similarly, the world situation is such that perplexities of life automatically appear without our wanting such confusion. No one wants fire, yet it takes place, and we become perplexed. The Vedic wisdom therefore advises that in order to solve the perplexities of life and to understand the science of the solution, one must approach a spiritual master who is in the disciplic succession. A person with bona fide spiritual master is supposed to know everything. One should not therefore remain in material perplexities, but should approach a spiritual master. This is the purport of this verse.
Yes. So here very beautifully it's explained by the author, Srila Prabhupada, then how is life? I'm sure you are all able to relate with that paragraph. We don't expect problems, we don't want problems, but somehow or other they come, right? Even between two people, when the relationship is going all smooth, and suddenly next day when you wake up, you find the other person in a totally different mood, and you don't understand why, what happened wrong, why is this person behaving like this? So this is how the nature of the world is. There's nothing wrong about people. It's just the nature of this world. It is created in a way that there will be fire, forest fire. What is forest fire? If you have heard about forest fire, it doesn't happen so much in India, but in countries like Australia and America, it's a big problem, right? It can burn the forest for miles and miles and miles and miles. It just starts small and then it can go on for long distance. So it starts how? Two branches may just, there might be some kind of friction between them and there might be a spark. And with that spark, the leaves, they catch the fire and the whole forest starts burning. That's how this world is, that between two people, any two people, there might be just a spark of friction and there is problem, relationship issues, fight, misunderstanding. So much wrong happens. What's wrong? There's nothing wrong about people again. It's the nature of the world. The world has been made like that. And this is to be understood by anyone who's on spiritual path, that by any means we cannot change this nature of the world. There's no way possible. How much ever intelligent, technologically developed we may be, we cannot really change this nature of the world. It's going to remain like this only. This is how it was 5,000 years ago. This is how it is now. And this is how it is going to be thousands of years after. Same. Isn't it so? Like we have so much of comfort now when you talk about material life, so much of facilities, but still people are again into depression, frustration, suffering, anxiety, problems. It's not that now, since the time of, let's say, independence of India or other countries, the number of problems in our problem list has reduced. No, it's the same. It's for everyone. Whatever kind of life we may be living, whether we are living in village or city, any kind of life, problems are always there. You go from one country to another country, you go from one job to another job, problems are there. That's the nature of this world. And to solve these problems, the scriptures, they appeal to the intelligent people, that if you really want to solve these problems, then go for a permanent solution. Don't go for a temporary solution. And how will you get that permanent solution? By approaching a person who knows the truth of life, called spiritual master or guru, who knows what is the purpose of life. Arjuna is doing that. He's approaching Krishna. Like, please, you help me out. So what will Krishna do? Arjuna is in a situation. Krishna will use that situation to teach some lessons to Arjuna, which will be applicable to Arjuna's entire life, all the situations. And we also analyze Arjuna's a particular situation to learn the same lesson for ourselves. That we may not have the same kind of battle to fight, that my grandfather is standing on the other end, I have to shoot him. Or I have my brother standing on the other end, I have to kill him. We may not have the same battle, but we all have our individual battles, different battles. We have our own battlefields, right? And we need to fight there. So Krishna is going to teach those principles. What should be our approach towards that? So when Arjuna makes that to Krishna, Krishna says that I cannot be your guru. So Arjuna says, Nahi prapashyami mamapanudyad yachokam uchoshanam indriyanam avapya bhuma vasapatnam riddham rajyam suranam apichantipatyam. Krishna tells Arjuna, come on Arjuna, give up this drama. You fight, you win, and you will be very happy. You enjoy the kingdom. And Arjuna says, I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it, even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. I cannot solve my problem. Even if you make me the king of the heaven, I cannot. So Arjuna then finally, okay, we'll read this verse, this paragraph. I think we should read this paragraph. First paragraph. I'll ask someone who has not read yet. Some of you don't read at all. I don't know if you are shy about reading.
Prabhuji, can I read?
Mataji, I'll come to you later. Yes. Rohit Prabhu, can you read, please?
Although Arjun was putting forward so many arguments based on knowledge of the principles of religion and moral codes, it appears that he was unable to solve his real problem without the help of the spiritual master, Lord Sri Krishna. He could understand that his so-called knowledge was useless in driving away his problems, which were drying up his whole existence, and it was impossible for him to solve such perplexities without the help of a spiritual master like Lord Krishna. Academic knowledge, scholarship, position, etc. are all useless in solving the problems of life. Help can be given only by a spiritual master like Krishna. Therefore, the conclusion is that a spiritual master who is 100% Krishna conscious is the bona fide spiritual master, for he can solve the problems of life. Lord Chaitanya said that one who is a master in the science of Krishna consciousness, regardless of his social position, is the real spiritual master.
All right, thank you. So the further thing we'll not discuss now. It explains about the qualities of a spiritual master. You can read that on your own later. This paragraph, someone else can read. 𝗪𝗏 Kishori Mataji. You want to read?
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The problem of material existence, birth, old age, disease, and death cannot be counteracted by accumulation of wealth and economic development. In many parts of the world, there are states which are replete with all facilities of life, which are full of wealth and economically developed. Yet the problems of material existence are still present. They are seeking peace in different ways, but they can achieve real happiness only if they consult Krishna or the Bhagavad-gita and 𝗪𝗏𝗶𝗹𝗹, which constitute the science of Krishna through the bona fide representative of Krishna, the man in Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Rupa Mataji, please read the next. Rupa Chakravarti.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. If economic development and material comforts could drive away one's lamentations for family, social, national, or international inebrities, then Arjuna would not have said that even an unrivaled kingdom on earth or supremacy like that of the demigods in the heavenly planets would be unable to drive away his lamentations. He sought, therefore, refuge in Krishna consciousness, and that is the right path for peace and harmony. Economic development or supremacy over the world can be finished at any moment by cataclysms of material nature. Even elevation into a higher planetary situation, as men are now seeking on the moon planet, can also... Prabhuji, can you raise it a bit? Yeah, thanks, Prabhuji. On the moon planet can also be finished at one stroke. The Bhagavad-gita confirms this. Shine punye marte lokam vishanti. When the results of pious activities are finished, one falls down again from the peak of happiness to the lowest status of life. Many politicians of the world have fallen down in that way. Such downfalls only constitute more causes for lamentation. Therefore, if we want to curb lamentation for good, then we have to take shelter of Krishna, as Arjuna is seeking to do. So Arjuna asked Krishna to solve his problem definitely, and that is the way of Krishna consciousness.
Yes, very. Thank you. So solving the problem definitely, complete solution to the problem. That's what we are trying to learn here from Bhagavad-gita. Complete solution to all the problems as is given by Lord Krishna. So it's the ultimate thing that Arjuna will do now. Sanjaya uvacha evam uktva rishikesham gudakesha parantapa na yotsya iti govindam uktva tushnim bhaguvaha. Na yotsya means I will not fight. That's what he said and became silent. Now if you look at this verse, Sanjaya is using two names, Rishikesh, Gudakesh. Chapter 1, verse number 24, same two names, Rishikesh, Gudakesh. What is the meaning? What is the message? This is like opening bracket and closing bracket. Sanjaya there in chapter 1 opened a theme for Dhritarashtra, giving a warning to the readers. Now Arjuna will be a bit bewildered. So please try to understand, this is drama going on. He is Gudakesh, he is conquered illusion, he cannot fall in illusion. So opening bracket. Now here, closing bracket, that the scene is over. The acting is over, Arjuna's falling into illusion, he's giving reasons to not fight, that is done. Now a next section begins, a new section begins. So use those names, and again there's a different import to those names, basically taking us to that direction only, that Krishna will, control the mind of Arjuna and explain him why he should fight. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. He told that and he said, I shall not fight. He fell silent. 2.10. Tam uvacha rishikeshaha prahisanniva bharata senayorubayor madhye vishidantam idam vachaha. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So then Krishna, smiling a little bit, faint smile, he spoke the following words to Arjuna. So with this first 10 verses of chapter 2, the first section of chapter 2 gets over, which has Arjuna's fifth reason to not fight, and then Arjuna's surrender to Krishna. From this verse 11 onwards now, Krishna will start giving arguments why Arjuna should fight. This will be in sequence, systematic way, how Arjuna posed the reasons to not fight. First was compassion, second was enjoyment, third was fear. So Krishna is going to address those reasons here one by one. So the first reason was, I feel compassionate towards them. In order to cancel that argument, Krishna gives the knowledge of Atma, knowledge of soul, Atma Gyan. Why Atma Gyan? Because Arjuna is thinking on bodily platform. I love these people. They are in this body and I identify with that. So Krishna first sets that proper framework. They are not the body, they are spirit souls. And because of being spirit souls, they are not going to die, they're eternal. He gives that knowledge. We have to understand one thing very nicely, that spiritual life becomes steady and spiritual life becomes properly directed, oriented, only if a person understands this truth properly. What is that? I am spirit soul. I am Atma. Without understanding this thing, we cannot understand anything else. We cannot understand law of karma. We cannot understand heaven and hell. We cannot understand spiritual world, material world. We cannot understand the need of austerity, the need of following dharma. We cannot understand anything. This is the foundation to understand all the spiritual subject matters. That my identification is not the body, I am spirit soul. Anyone who will understand this will be able to understand everything else in the scriptures. And one who does not understand this will have doubts, confusions to understand different scriptural instructions. So this has to be understood very nicely. The first thing, first concept. And anyone who understands this, again make a note, if one seriously understands this knowledge is so beautiful, it will naturally in your heart ignite some kind of detachment to the material world. It will happen. You will become a person who becomes detached to situations, to problems, to the world around you. The knowledge has that power. This knowledge has that power. Just by understanding this knowledge, a person is able to rise above in one's consciousness. And what appears to be a problem stops appearing to be a problem again. Just by this knowledge, one who understands this. This knowledge is powerful, very, very effective. Just to understand this much, I am not the body, I am spirit soul. We are not talking about practically realizing it, even theoretically if one understands. Theoretically also. So this is very essential knowledge which Krishna will give to Arjuna. Here, there are some, highly technical stuff discussed in the purport, which I will not take because I'm not sure you all will be able to understand that now or not, but we will discuss that later. So 2.11, what does Krishna tell to Arjuna? First verse. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Asochayanan Vasochastam Pragyavadangsha Bhashase Gatasuna Gatasunsa Nanusochanti Panditaha. Asochayan, Anvasochas, Anusochanti. The word socha comes from the word shoka. Shoka means lamentation. The whole purpose of Bhagavad-gita is to remove Arjuna's lamentation, right? Krishna starts on that topic and Krishna will end his instruction in Bhagavad-gita on the same topic. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papyabhyo moksheshyami ma suchaha. Same word. He's starting with asochayan, he's ending with suchaha. You know, this is how great people talk. They are very poetic. They don't miss the track. You know, sometimes people who like to talk a lot, they start with one topic and they end up somewhere else and then they don't even realize where did we start from. And they keep on talking and talking and talking and talking, changing from one subject to another. And then they forget, oh, from where did we start the discussion? But great people, they don't talk like that. They know what they're talking. And if they diverge from the topic of discussion, they know how to come back to the topic also. So Krishna starts with a particular theme. He'll go to hundreds of other subjects, but then he'll come and stop again at the same theme, lamentation. Started with lamentation, ending the whole dialogue on lamentation. Beautiful, beautiful way of speaking. So what does Krishna say in this verse to Arjuna? He is reprimanding Arjuna, chastising. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Now, this is so interesting. You see, Arjuna is giving such arguments. You know, we have to be moral, we have to be religious, we have to protect the women, we have to protect the children, we are not greedy like them, and we should follow dharma, they are our superiors, we should be honest, we should be compassionate. And after talking all this blah, 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 he's crying. So Krishna is saying, so much knowledge, and after speaking like this, you are crying? What is the use of your knowledge? If you know so much, then with your knowledge, you should be able to help yourself. But you're not able to help yourself with your own knowledge. What is the point? What's the point? Right? So this is a good lesson for us to learn. And in the present time in the world, people, they go for so much of higher education, bachelor's, master's, double master's, PhD, double PhD, triple PhD. So much they know, right? But when problems come in life, what happens to their knowledge? Does it come to help? No, doesn't. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you know so much, and a person who knows so much should be happy. But you are crying. What is the use of this knowledge then? Because knowledge means which takes one from darkness to light, which makes one's life bright. But here you have dark clouds in your life, Arjuna. Why are you not able to remove the clouds with the sun of your knowledge? So in this way, he's telling Arjuna that you know a lot, but it's of no use because it's not helping you. Those who are wise do not lament for the those who are wise do not lament for the living or the dead. Purport. Yes, someone should read now. Dr. Vinod Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, "You are talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition." As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology. But he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in that knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body.
Very good. Thank you. Now, so here there's one thing mentioned which is very important. What is that? A person who is truly learned, he should know this thing. Where is it gone? Yeah. Knowledge means to know matter and spirit and controller of both. This is so important. When I said that in the modern times, people are so much educated, the problem is that they only know one thing, that is matter. That's all they know. Everything that we study in school, university, it's all about matter. That's all. It's all material knowledge. There's nothing about spirit, and there's nothing about the controller of matter and spirit. We are lacking in that, right? And because we are lacking in that, our knowledge is incomplete. Incomplete knowledge. So when knowledge is incomplete, how is it going to be helping us completely in our life? It won't. How will it help us solve all our problems? It won't. How it can remove all our confusion? It won't. And that's something very important for us to note, that people, after spending 15, 16, 20 years in so much of education, after that, if still they are so miserable in life, they don't know where their life is going, how they're going to earn their bread and butter, right? Stuff like that also. Then what's the point of that much of education? What is the point? No value at all, useless. So here, this thing is so important, so crucial. Three things: no matter, no spirit, and know the controller. Sanskrit, it is called Chit Achit Ishvara Gyan. Chit Achit Ishvara Gyan. Chit means spirit, Achit means matter, Ishvara means controller. Three things then you know everything. And you know what? This book, Bhagavad-gita, only 700 shlokas. It teaches us everything about these three things. Everything about these three things. Chit, Achit, Ishvara. Just 700 shlokas. It gives us complete knowledge of all the three subject matters. That's why Bhagavad-gita is called a book of complete knowledge. So here we again come to this discussion, levels of instructions. I showed a similar slide when we were discussing chapter 1. There we had first two options, Artha and Dharma. Now we added a third option to this, which is Jnana. You remember this from the previous chapter? So from Artha Shastra, what is the instruction? Kill your enemies. If they're aggressors, you kill them, right? But Dharma Shastra says, if they are your family members, don't kill them, right? Correct. But what does Jnana Shastra says? Soul cannot be killed. Soul cannot be killed. You cannot kill the soul. Soul will not take birth, soul will not die. So Krishna is giving now a higher level of knowledge to Arjuna. Knowledge of Atma, soul. Higher, more higher than dharma, duty, material duties. So that knowledge begins from this verse number 2.12. Natvevaham jatunasham natvam neme janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. Krishna says, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So what is telling indirectly to Arjuna? Arjuna, we all have lived in the past. We are living in the present. We all will continue to live in the future. Don't think that if you kill your grandfather, then it's the end. He's finished. He's not finished. He's going to again live in the future, right? So what do we understand from this verse? It talks about two things. One, soul is eternal, right? One. Second, also it talks about different individuality. Because you see, Krishna is not saying, he's separating himself from others. He's saying, I existed, you existed, they all existed. So he's making it very clear that they are all individuals. In the past, they were individuals. At present, they are individuals. In future also, they are going to be individuals. So he's establishing two things. Eternity is being established and individuality is being established. That you are an individual, I am an individual, they are an individual. Now, these two concepts, out of that, this concept of individuality, now, please try to pay attention and understand. This concept of individuality is what Srila Prabhupada focuses completely in the purport and uses that to defeat a conception called Mayavad. For those who are not familiar with this, I'll just give a brief explanation of what is Mayavad. Mayavad is a philosophy, is a thinking that originally, the Supreme Brahman is one. Okay. But because of influence of the material nature, what happens is that Brahman divides into many. And because that Brahman divides into many, our life of illusion begins. So if you ask them what is the solution to the problem, they will say, you remove your individuality. You stop existing. And that's how you begin to exist. That's these kind of words they will use. Like, I don't mind taking name. You hear some of the talks of Sadhguru, this is what he will say. The purpose of life is to not exist anymore. That's the purpose of life, to not exist anymore. And people will clap hands. Yes, yes, very good, very nice. So if the purpose of life is to not exist, then take poison and die today. Why prolong? Right? If the purpose of life is not to exist, then why wait for death to come? Take poison and finish it today itself. Stop existing. So these are the ways people, they try to cheat the gullible mass and tell them that you stop existing and that's how your problems will also stop existing. That's called Mayavad, a wrong understanding. So here, what does Srila Prabhupada do is, he argues with that theory or philosophy using the point. Krishna is telling, in the past, we all existed as individuals. In the present, we all are individuals. In the future, we all will be individuals. Which means what? I will have a separate identity, you know. So that's what he uses. So I won't go through the purport because it is very technical and the whole class will just go in discussing that. But I do give you the opportunity. If you read through and you have any doubts on this, then you can ask in the next class. That I'll not explain it line by line, because first of all, to explain this, I have to explain you the wrong thing and then explain you the right thing. So if you don't know the wrong thing, better don't waste your time knowing it, right? So first I have to explain the wrong idea and then give you the right idea. So Mayavad is like that. First you have to teach people what's wrong about Mayavad, and then you have to teach them the correct thing. So here, for those who are very new to this concept, just understand this thing. Mayavad means they think that originally there is one Brahman and it's without any fault. We all are that. But because of coming into the influence of this world, we have taken these separate identities. And the solution to the problem is that you give up your identity. You become one with God. So they will use all these statements in their talks: become desireless, become free from desires, don't desire anything. Your mind should become empty. Sit down in meditation, empty your mind. They will talk like this, that you should have no thoughts, no feelings, no desires, stuff like that, which is very wrong. Why it's wrong? Because naturally Atma, or soul, is alive. And because it's alive, it has desires, it has feelings, it has thoughts, it has an identity. The whole purpose of life is to understand that identity, not destroy that identity. Understand what is that identity. So that's explained here. It's a long purport because it's explained in detail there. So after speaking like that, then Krishna goes to the next verse and he says, Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantara prapati ridhiras tatra namuhyati. So Arjuna may say now that, my dear Krishna, I agree, we all existed in the past, will exist in the future. But I love this particular form in which my grandfather exists. I like this form. I've seen him for hundreds of years in this form. I have attachment to this particular form of my grandfather, and the form of my teacher. The body is associated with the soul, and I have developed some attachment for the body. So how can I kill that body? If that body gets destroyed, I'll feel the pain. And Krishna says, why should you worry about it? Do you feel any pain when you see a young boy become a young man? You don't feel any pain. Do you feel any pain? That when a young boy becomes a young man, then you feel any pain? You become very happy. Oh, he has grown up. You become very happy. And then when a young person becomes old also, you don't sit, you don't spend your whole time lamenting why this person became old. You accept it. So just as you accept the change of body of a person from boyhood to youthhood to old age, so just accept the fact that at the time of death, this body will change. Are you getting Krishna's argument? That during the whole life, you accepted the change of body, isn't it? So at the end of the life also, the body will change. Just accept it. Just accept it. That's the nature of the body. It's going to change. So you accept that. So Arjuna says, no, but I am attached to that body. So Krishna says, okay, now let me tell you something. If a person is going to throw away an old body and that person is going to get a new body, is that not a subject of celebration? Why you should be sad? Your old grandpa will get a new body, a good-looking, handsome new body. Why you should be lamenting about it? So Krishna says that, don't worry, he's going to have a new body, a good body. And in fact, because your teacher and grandfather, they were pious souls, they'll get a better body. So why you should lament? Why you should worry? So the point he makes is, Dhiras tatra na muhyati. A person who is learned does not lament. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. So now you have to think for a few minutes about this. This verse says, when someone dies, you should not be bewildered about it. But let's say someone who is very close to you died. Anyone, it may be father, mother, brother, sister, husband, wife, children, anyone who is very close to you. Then, will you not feel? Will you not feel for it? So what is this verse talking about that? That means that a person should then become feelingless, emotionless. Or if a Vaishnava dies, then also you should not cry, you should not feel for it. Because Gita says, a sober person, a dhira person is not bewildered by such a change. So how will you react in that situation? And if you react in this way that you start crying, then that means then you have not understood Bhagavad-gita, is it so? What to do? How would you react in such a situation? Or if someone is crying, then you will tell that person, wait a second. Chapter 2, shloka number 13. Dehinosmi yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tatha dehantar prapti dhiras tatra namuyati. This verse says, stop crying. So what will you do in that situation? Even for one who is a devotee, let's say, a genuine devotee, how will you act in that situation? Yes, Vrindarani.
I think that we should feel and express our emotions. And after a while, eventually, when we be a little bit pacified, we should seek for the wisdom of Bhagavad-gita exposed in this verse.
Okay, so first of all is that you should let all your emotions, manifest, right? You should let yourself go through that pain and feelings.
Yes.
And after that, then you should sit in the corner and start reading Gita or hear from someone about Gita. Okay, so that who will do? You're talking about a devotee or you're talking about an ordinary person?
I was talking for a devotee, yes.
For a devotee. Okay, for a devotee. All right, fine, thank you. Anju Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. For a devotee and non-devotee, it will be a different case. If the person is a non-devotee, we have to empathize with that person first. And then we have to slowly bring it into the point that there is a change, and it has been always like the body, when the body is not of use. Suppose the person dies because of the old age and death and all. So we have to bring out that the suffering was there, and then the person is relieved of it. And it's not a point that you should just detach everything, but it's the point that we should remember and we should pray for the soul which has departed, so as the person can get a new, better body for a better to serve the Lord. Okay. And if the person is a devotee, obviously the person knows everything, but here again we have to empathize. We cannot just say that, oh, forget and don't cry. It's not like that, because the emotions are there, and without emotion, without soft-heartedness, a person cannot be a devotee. When a person is a devotee, it has to be soft-heartedness, and obviously there will be the emotions. We have to empathize with that person. At the same time, we have to remind them that obviously whatever happens for our own good and for the body's good, and so we should not take it to a longer extent. We should not extend it too much.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Take one more, Kavita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. What I feel that for a devotee or a non-devotee, time is the biggest healer. And if we understand that time is going to heal the things, but a devotee would understand it in a much clearer way.
than a non-devotee.
Okay. All right. Fine. Thank you. So I thank others also who want to contribute. But what I want to add here is this. Whether you take a person who knows about soul and you take a person who doesn't know about soul, they both can express the emotion. There's no problem in expressing the emotions. But the difference is that the emotions will come forth from different levels of understanding. One will cry thinking in this way, oh, this person is gone, I have lost my object of giving gratification to me. This body was giving me so much of pleasure. This person was giving me so much of happiness. This person was making my life such a great life. And now this person is gone. That's how an ordinary person would think. That the whole idea is this person was required for me to enjoy and this person is now dead. Right? But a person who knows Atma Gyan, who knows the knowledge of soul, that person may also express emotions, but with a different understanding. With a different understanding. What? That this person, I know, is spirit soul and spirit soul does not die and this person is going to get another body. I know that. But at the same time, for whatever good this person has done to me, I feel the gratitude and I feel that separation, right? I feel that. So that person, that crying is not out of lamentation. That crying is out of gratitude. Not lamentation that, oh, what will happen to this person? What will happen to me? What will happen to our family? No, not lamentation, but it's out of gratitude that, okay, this person did so much for me and now this person is gone. But that person very well knows that this person is going to take another body. So the emotions are always there. It has to be there. But the reason behind the emotions are not different. Sorry, the reason behind the emotions are different. That's what makes the difference, right? That's what makes the difference. Like yesterday, Satyadev Prabhu was asking this question. I was not able to answer that. He was saying we should have compassion. That's what the scriptures say. But here then Srila Prabhupada talks about compassion in a different manner that, this is material compassion. So how do we understand that compassion is a good quality that has to be manifested and material compassion is being negated here or is being spoken as wrong here, right? So again, the point has to be understood. Compassion is there. What is the foundation of that compassion? A person may have this knowledge, this is spirit soul in a particular body, and because of his or her past bad karma, he or she is suffering in this body, and I want to help this person to a certain extent so that life can be easy for him or her in this particular body. That is compassion based on the knowledge that this person is spirit soul. But to just think that this person is this body and this life is all in all, and I have to somehow just help this person, that is material compassion. People out of compassion, they distribute wine out of compassion. They distribute meat out of compassion. They will distribute wrong things out of compassion. That's not compassion. Or if that's just material compassion. So people have to know that this is spirit soul. That understanding has to be there. On that understanding, if compassion develops, then that is spiritual compassion. Compassion, even for the body, based on the understanding that this person is spirit soul. That is okay. But the understanding of Atma has to be there. Proper understanding. This is spirit soul. That has to be there. Otherwise, without that, it's all material. Now, someone has some comment here. Even if he comes back, he will not be connected to us as far as humans are concerned. Okay, I don't know what is that. Why are we not thankful for this body, which is again given by the Lord for the soul to become free? Because without the body, we cannot do bhakti. Yes, we have to be thankful for the body. Without the body, we cannot do bhakti. But we should not be so thankful for the body that we just spend our whole life taking care of the body only. Right? The body is the means to get out of the world. Not that we become so thankful to the Lord for giving us the body that we just stay in the body. That's not how it should be, right? It should be used as a tool to get out of it. So a devotee a devotee or a person who is on the path of Krishna consciousness should celebrate the birthday, must celebrate the birthday. Why? Because we got an opportunity to learn about Krishna in this life. So our birth is good, a glorious birth. So we should celebrate the birthday because we are going to use it for the right cause, for practicing Krishna consciousness, right? And now how do we pacify them? For pacify whose near and dear ones have passed on? Pacify them? You're asking that?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you pacify them? Well, you try to speak to them some good words. If they are sensible enough, they will understand. If not, then they will cry. After some time, they'll understand. If they are sensible, they'll understand. You have to speak some good words to them, kind words to them. And let me tell you something honestly. Nowadays, people are not so much concerned about their past ones, near and dear ones. You know, they really feel bad about it. Someone will die in the family. Next week they are celebrating. They go for parties. They go for functions. They do everything. Even in the present times, even the family attachment stuff is so shallow. So shallow. It's not at all deep the way it used to be before. Earlier, people were really, you know, they really felt bad. And, you know, I don't know how many of you are aware of this. Earlier, if someone died in the family, for one whole year, there won't be any marriage in that family. For one whole year, they felt bad. Now, next week, after 2 weeks, there is marriage. So people don't really feel so much bad now. So they don't feel so much bad. The times have changed. Okay, someone else wanted to say. Hanit Mataji wanted to say something.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what I wanted to ask is if some close relative has died in an accident, like a child or spouse, you know, there's nothing wrong with the body. So how do you pacify such people? You cannot tell them that, you know, that the body.
Who? I did not.
A close one passes away, you know, dies in an accident. It was sudden. It could be a spouse, it could be a child.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the body.
Yeah.
How do you, if you tell them that, you know, okay, you know, the body was suffering.
No, you don't tell them.
So how do you pacify such a person?
You don't pacify.
And if we tell them that, you know, he'll take another body, you know, I will not be associated with them. No, so what difference it makes to me if that.
Correct. So, but the point is that we don't pacify such people.
Okay.
One thing we should know, any knowledge has to be given at an appropriate time,
okay,
place, situation. So someone has died and then you go to the funeral ceremony of that person. So it's not that then you start giving a lecture on Bhagavad-gita there itself. No, you let them go through those emotions, right? And then maybe after a week or 10 days when you meet that person again, now, you know, the things are clear, those heavy emotions are gone, and this person is ready to listen to you. Then you make that person sit in the corner and then talk some good words to that person that please try to understand, don't lament so much, and after all, you know, this person was supposed to die, things like that. So then you don't tell to that person on that very day, that very moment. That no one will do. You know, no one should be doing that.
Correct.
We have to wait for the proper time to come. Because that moment, that time, even if you say, that person will not hear. No, because that person is so much carried by the emotions, that person will not even hear, will not pay attention to what you are saying, isn't it? So we have to wait for the time to come. So we don't speak like anything. We just participate in the event, you know, and we let it happen like that. Okay. Yeah, we don't do it immediately.
Okay.
Any knowledge should be given to a person when a person is little bit in normal state of mind. If a person is too much afraid, if a person is too much excited, if a person is too much morose, if a person is lamenting too much, don't give knowledge. Because the scriptures say, when you are too much afflicted by any emotion, your intelligence stops working. And if the intelligence is not working, whatever you say, that person will not be able to make any sense out of it. Right? So when a person is too much emotionally disturbed, the first task is you make that person little normal. Little normal. You deal with that person on emotional platform. After that person's emotions have come to a normal state, then you start instructing that person.
So we allowed them to go through that entire journey of
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
We do that. Like, for example, I'll give you an example of a child. Let's say a child has done some mistake, and then after that the child has gone through a bad experience, is very afraid. So if you just go and tell the child, you did this wrong, you should not have done this, I had told you, that will not help the child. So if you see that the child is afraid, first of all, you embrace that child and make that child feel that, everything is normal, relax, calm down, don't panic. And after the child has now come to a normal state, then you peacefully sit and explain, better you did this wrong, and that's why this happened. So next time be careful. Then it will enter that person's head. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Guramaya Prabhu.
Prabhuji, I wanted to add something for Harneet Mataji. On the day when people pass away, we don't say anything about the disknowledge. But on the day of the Shraddha, a Brahmana will usually recite these slokas and will explain in their language. They wait until the Shraddha day.
Yes. It happens. Yes, the person would speak like that. But then, as I told you, as the modern times is progressing, people don't really feel so much for the past ones, right? They don't really feel so much because the connections are very shallow. Like people have not lived with their grandparents, so how will they feel sad if the grandparents die? They have not really lived together so much, so they don't really share in those pains and sufferings. It's very, very shallow. Sometimes they may feel for very close person, but otherwise they don't always feel so much. Okay, so we move on. Now when Krishna says that to Arjuna, Arjuna may say, again, I'm not reading through the Mayavad theory section of this. Please read it yourself. You can ask me a question later if you have. Then Arjuna says, but actually Krishna, I love this particular person, Bhishma, the way he looks, the way he stands, his gray hairs, I like that image, that form. And when that person will die, whom will I call grandfather? Pitamaha Bhishma. How will I then live in that pain? So then Krishna says, okay, so I tell you this shloka now. What is that? Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhada agama paino nitya stam sitikshashva bharata. What is this verse? O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception of sea and of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So now Krishna is giving ultimate solution to Arjuna, that tolerate. Such things will happen in life, and you need to learn to tolerate. Which means what? Happiness will come, and suffering will come, and you tolerate. You know one thing, they have come, they will stay, they will go. This has to be understood. All the good days that came went away. All the bad days that came went away. That's how it's going to be. Good days will come, bad days will come. Right? Not all the days will be good days, not all the days will be bad days. And this will happen for eternity. It's going to happen. Just like summer season, winter season, summer season, winter season, summer season, winter season. You cannot change that cycle. Likewise, we cannot change the functioning of this world. Good days, bad days, good days, bad days. Very good days, very bad days. Like that. It will come and go, come and go, come and go. So what a person should do, an intelligent person should do, accept it. That this is how life is. Accept. As soon as we accept it, so many of our problems are gone. Because we will then stop struggling against this truth. Stop fighting against this truth. Stop struggling against this reality. That whoever one may be, if you had 364 good days, you will definitely have at least one bad day. Whoever one may be, starting from the greatest person in the universe, Lord Brahma, to an insignificant ant in the universe. This is how the world is for everyone. And so Krishna is telling Arjuna, you should just tolerate such situations. Just accept them. And this acceptance is such a good principle. If we start accepting life the way it is, it doesn't mean that we become lazy and don't try to change ourselves and make our life better. The point is, even after you have tried to change things and the things are not changing, then you accept it. Accept it the way it is. Then we become peaceful. We become peaceful. That this is how it is. Like I was talking to one of my friends once. We were very frustrated. Frustrated about whom? We both were working under one person, and we did not really appreciate the style of working of that person. Okay. But that person was quite old, in late 50s. So my friend told me one thing after weeks and weeks of frustration. Madhusudan, let's do one thing. Let us just accept that person the way that person is. That person is not going to change. You just accept. If you accept, then you'll not have any problems. You just accept. And I said, yeah, that's quite interesting. Just accept. That person is, for years and years, that person has been like this. Why I want that person to change? So if we accept, life becomes pretty peaceful. Not just life, our mind becomes peaceful, calm, free from anxiety. And Krishna is teaching that principle to Arjuna. Tolerate. Tolerate means accept. That's what tolerate means. You accept. You just accept it the way it is. That's called tolerance. And he's saying you tolerate both. You tolerate happiness and you tolerate suffering. Isn't it interesting that someone is asking you to tolerate happiness? One may tell you tolerate suffering. Krishna is telling you tolerate happiness also. What does he mean by saying that? What he means to say is, don't become so excited about your happiness. Don't be so excited about happiness. Because the more we will be excited about our good days, the more we'll be then depressed about our bad days. The more we'll be depressed about the bad days. So don't be so excited. And this thing I have seen actually, those people who belong to the previous generations, even if they had big achievement in life, they would keep low key, right? Let's say they have earned millions and millions of rupees. They would just live like a simple, ordinary person, not like I have to really show to people and throw a party and, announce it publicly on social media. I did this, I did that. They would just keep low key because they knew that this may pass. This has come, this may go. So Krishna is telling Arjuna, you accept your suffering as temporary, and you accept your states of enjoyment also as temporary. What will happen by that? One may ask, what will happen? When we develop that state of mind, in that state of mind, cultivation of spiritual knowledge becomes easy. In that state of mind, you can study and hear the scriptures and understand them. Otherwise, will not be able to understand the scriptures. Spiritual knowledge will not develop in our heart. This is a prerequisite qualification needed to understand spiritual knowledge. One should have a peaceful mind. Anyone whose mind is not peaceful, very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Very difficult. So this is needed. You tolerate, and we read some section of the purport. Okay, let me ask those who never read. Sonali Mataji, read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In the proper discharge of duty, one has to learn to tolerate non-permanent appearances and disappearances of happiness and distress. One has to follow the prescribed rules and regulations of religious principles in order to rise up to the platform of knowledge, because by knowledge and devotion only can one liberate himself from the clutches of Maya, that is illusion.
Yes. So when a person learns to tolerate, a person also then becomes a good student to develop spiritual knowledge. Spiritual knowledge develops by that. It doesn't develop just by reading, memorizing the shlokas or the books. It develops by living our life in a particular manner. So, someone read the lesson, please. This is what the scriptures teach us. By doing the right thing, we develop the right knowledge. By doing what we are supposed to do, our duty, we develop the right knowledge. It's not that just by knowing the right thing, you develop the right knowledge. By doing the right thing, we develop the right knowledge. We have to do, not just know, we have to do. When we do, then that knowledge will develop. So Krishna is saying you learn to tolerate. And by that, you become qualified to receive spiritual knowledge, right? So we'll take two more verses. I'm sorry, I did not give a break today. You still need a break? No. So we'll complete two verses. Then I give you a 3-minute break, and then I'll quickly explain about the exams once again. Some of you are still confused about exams and what is the question paper pattern and stuff like that. So we'll take we'll take two more verses. Then we take the break. Or someone needs the break now. Fine, then take the break, 3 minutes break, right? Then we come back. Okay.
Hare
Okay, so welcome back, everyone. We are at now verse number 15. Yam hina vethayantyete purusham purushashabha samadukha sukham dhiram so amritvaya kalpate. O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Now, I request all of you, this is my humble request, please try to cultivate this quality, practice it, write down in your diary that you should not become too much affected by your happiness. It's very easy to tolerate suffering, but to be not disturbed by happiness, very difficult. So make it a point that we practice this, that when we get success in life, we don't become too much carried away by that. Make it a point to be still sober, still very, very composed in life. And okay, it's fine. It's a good day. That's all. Good, fine, thank you. Maybe my good karma has brought this to me, but I should not be overexcited about it. How to practice that? You have to tell yourself. And if you forget, then keep a diary and you read that diary every day. Some people have good memory, so they remember. Some people have a very bad memory, they forget, right? So those who forget, they should make a diary and they should write all the important things there and regularly keep reading that diary, that this is what I want to tell myself. So we should do that. This is very important, and this is going to help so much in our life if you want to make spiritual progress. That bad days we'll somehow manage to tolerate, but when good days come, we should keep ourselves very composed. Very important. This has to be learned. It has to be practiced, and slowly we'll be able to then see that we'll not become affected. And the more we become unaffected by the good days, then even the bad days will not trouble us so much. We'll become, like, I don't know, they show that advertisement when the pillar is strong like the steel. So like that, you will become strong as steel. You'll be able to tolerate difficulties in life, not be shaken by them. Will not be a weak person anymore. All right. Weak person is who on every small thing says, I want to commit suicide. That's weak person, right? Every small thing, I want to commit suicide. That's a weak person. But a strong person is one who has even mountain falling on his head and he's still able to tolerate. That's called strong person, right? Becoming strong. So this is to be done as a practice. It's an instruction by Krishna here to Arjuna in the last verse for today. Na sate vidyate bhavo na bhavo vidyate satah ubhayorapi drishtontas tanayos tattvadarshvihi. From this verse, Krishna will open a new section, which will start in next class. A comparison of what? Matter and spirit. The first word is na asataha, and the last word here is sataha. So there are two words, sat, asat. Sat, asat. Sat means permanent. Asat means temporary. Sat means spirit. Asat means matter, right? So Krishna is telling here in this, a person is learned person if he knows a very clear difference between permanent and temporary. This is permanent, this is temporary. A person who knows the difference is actually really learned person. And what does that person understand? What is permanent is always going to remain. And what is temporary? How hard I may try, it will one day stop existing. Right? What is permanent will always remain. And what is temporary? However hard I may try, one day it will stop to exist. This will happen. So this a person understands. Those who are seers of the truth have concluded that of the non-existent, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. There is okay, purport. Someone should read this. Vasantinath. Yes, Vasanti.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
There is no endurance of the changing body, that the body is changing every moment by the actions and reactions of the different cells is admitted by the modern medical science, and thus growth and old age are taking place in the body. But the spirit soul exists permanently, remaining the same despite all changes of the body and the mind. That is the difference between matter and spirit. By nature, the body is ever changing and the soul is eternal. This conclusion is established by all classes of seers of the truth, both impersonalist and personalist. In the Vishnu Purana 2.1238, it is stated that Vishnu and his abodes all have self-illuminated spiritual existence. Jodimshi Vishnur Bhuvanani Vishnu. The words existent and non-existent refer only to spirit and matter. That is the version of all seers of truth. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can understand the nature of Supreme by thorough study of oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme being understood as a relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutras, as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature, as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic is accepted as the supreme, and energy or nature is accepted as the subordinate. The living entities, therefore, are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches the Bhagavad-gita for the enlightenment of the living entities for all time.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So this 2.16 talks about two things, Sat and Asat, and 2.17 and 18 will elaborate on that. Okay. So you can find out 2.17 talks about what? Sat or Asat. And 2.18 talks about what? 2.17, the next verse talks about what? Sat or Asat?
Sat.
Sat, very good. And 2.18 talks about Asat. So we'll cover this next class. Now what we'll do is, if there is any question you can ask, or yeah, you can ask one or two questions, then we'll go to the exam and guideline section. Guru Mai Prabhu.
Prabhuji, on the 2.14 verse, there is a line that we should not be, we should continue to, in the quiz number 1 of the chapter 1, on the last second question, we are always obliged to stick to our duty, whether the outcome is good or bad. So in that one, I put it as a true, but the when I refer to the result, it is considered as a false one is the correct one. But in the 2.14 verse, we come to understand that we should continue to do our duty, whether the outcome is good or bad or something. So I don't understand the context of these two. Can you please clarify on these two properly?
Yes, Prabhu.
Same question.
So the thing is, you see, that particular question which I had asked, that was from that context. What was the context? Krishna is telling Arjuna that you are saying you are obliged to, follow the instruction of the scripture. But then one is supposed to follow the instruction of the scripture only if the obligation will lead to a good result. If it leads to a wrong result, then you're not obliged to follow. Like, to give an example, one should speak the truth. That's one's duty, right? But then there is a situation that by speaking the truth, a cow is getting killed. So your duty is to speak the truth, and you are obliged to follow that instruction, correct? But if by your speaking the truth, a cow is getting killed, then you're not obliged to follow the instruction of speaking the truth. Got the point? So in that situation, you're not obliged to follow the instruction of speaking the truth, because the result of following that instruction will be not good. So now when this verse says 2.14, one should do one's duty whether the result is good or bad. There are two different things. One is, you already know the result is bad, right? You already know the result is bad. And then you are saying, because it's my duty, I should do. And someone tells you, but the result is going to be bad. You can see that. No, it's my duty, I should be doing it. That is called foolishness, right? When 2.14 is saying that you should do your duty whether the result is good or bad, it means you don't know what the result will be. You just do your duty. And after doing the duty, you get a good result, accept it. You get a bad result, accept it. Are you able to see the difference? Nana? That I know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't know whether it will produce a good result or bad result. So I should do it. And then after doing this, I get a good result, I accept. I get a bad result, I accept. But the other situation is, I already know this is going to give bad. I already know. And then, I am saying, because it's my duty, I should be doing. So the scripture says, if you know it's going to give a bad result, you're not needed to do. You can check yourself there. Got the point?
Yeah.
Rohit Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So in the shloka 2.7, there is this karpanya dosha, which translates to miserly weakness. So in the term miserly in Hindi translates to kanjus. So
Yes.
like conjuice weakness that I didn't got.
Okay, so his question is, the word miser means one who spends less, right? Whenever it's required to spend, doesn't spend, that's called miser. So Arjuna is saying it's because of my miserly weakness. So he's saying, how is it miserliness? Arjuna is saying, I'm a Kshatriya. Kshatriya means powerful. I should be using that power to fight, right? But I'm not using that power. So I'm a miser person.
Okay.
It's not that Arjuna is weak and he's saying, I cannot fight. He is powerful, he can fight. So he's saying, I have the power to fight, but I'm not using that power. So I'm a miser.
Okay. Ah, got it.
I'm a miser. Miser means what? You have something and you don't want to use it. Isn't it?
Yeah.
He says, I am qualified Kshatriya. I can fight, but I'm not willing to fight. That's my, in your own words, conjusi. I'm being a miser.
Thank you.
All right. Sonali Matas.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. In Bhagavad-gita chapter 1, list of questions I was going through. In the 5th question, it is list the vows Bhima made after the gambling match. So I'm unable to find the answer in the verses, Prabhuji.
Okay, so the question is three vows which Bhima made, right? So the 3 vows are: first, he would break the thigh of Duryodhana. Second, he would tear open the chest of Dusashana. And third, he would personally kill all the 100 sons of Dhritarashtra. These are the 3 vows that Bhima made. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. So now what we'll do is I'll just quickly take you through again the exam guidelines for all the students, whether you are Gita Sastri, whether you are Bhakti Sastri, without certificate or with certificate. And if you have questions after this, then I'll take that also. So you see, this is the simple table to explain it all. If you are a Gita Sastri student only, then you have one essay to do, which you must have done. And not 18, but 19 MCQ quizzes. One which you already did on introduction, and then the next one was on chapter 1. And then there is attendance and participation. It has its weightage. Now, if you're a Bhakti Sastri student without certificate, then you have 4 essays, one for each book: Gita 1, Nectar of Devotion 1, 𝗵𝗔 1, 𝗪𝗲 1. And you'll have 30 MCQ quizzes, 19 for Gita, then few for 𝗵𝗔, few for Nectar of Devotion, few for 𝗪𝗲. Now, if you are a full-fledged Bhakti Sastri student with certificate, BOE certificate, then you have these many exams, 6 shloka exams, 1 shloka exam for each unit, right? And then you have 6 CBAs. CBA means written examination, written assessment, 6 each, 1 for each unit. We have 12 OBAs. OBA stands for essay. So you have 2 essays for each unit, and you have 30 MCQ online quizzes, right? Plus attendance. So this is how you qualify then for Bhakti Shastra. Fine. It's clear? Yes. Different types of exams, who is supposed to do what. Now, for all of you, in whichever WhatsApp group you are, if you go to the group description, in the group description, I am putting the links of all the quizzes that you're supposed to do. So anytime you miss any quiz, you don't have to scroll back to the messages. Just go to the group description and you'll find it updated with all the quizzes that you are supposed to do. Quiz 1, quiz 2, quiz 3, quiz 4, quiz 5, everything will be there, right? All your submission links will be there. So in one place, you'll find everything that you need to complete to get, qualified to get the certificate. All right. And so this is what I said. Please follow the group description of your respective WhatsApp group. I'll keep on updating that. And follow the annual calendar also. Many of you have not even seen the annual calendar, right? I have given the calendar to you so that you open it and see when is the exam, when is the class. So the exam dates are already decided. It's marked on the calendar. So please see that. When is the exam, which days it is. And handbook also, if you've not gone through the handbook, please see the handbook. I'll show you the handbook once again for those who have not seen the handbook. Just a second. So that you are not staying behind or lagging behind. If you start doing it, systematically, gradually, slowly, little by little, you'll easily complete the course without getting panicked at the end. So this is what I suggest for people to follow. Do the reading assignment. While you do the reading assignment, you find the answers for CBA questions from the handbook. You are reading also, just find the answers to the questions. It's there in the purport. And analyze the essay questions. After the classes are done, if you have not attended the class, watch the recording. And then you keep on completing the assignment. Meanwhile, you do the course. You just have to give 7 to 8 hours per week to do it nicely. This is on the maximum end I'm talking. So I'll show the handbook once again quickly for those who are bring with certificate. So in the handbook, there is this section, page number 11. It shows the sample essays that you can use to write your essay to get the guidelines. And then this page number 15 of the handbook gives you the list of shlokas that you have to memorize, right? So for unit 1, Bhagavad-gita, first 6 chapters, there are 12 shlokas, verse 2.7 and further. Now, tomorrow, I'll share a playlist of YouTube videos. In each video, each of these shloka will be demonstrated how to memorize them. So if you have difficulty in memorizing shlokas, you just go through that playlist and use that to learn the shlokas. All right. So this will be done for each unit. And then you move further ahead, you'll find page number, I think it's 30. Yeah, page number 31. So page number 31 has open book assessment questions, essays, 10 essays are there. You have to choose just 2 of them for this unit. Like that, go to the next unit, just 2 of them. Next unit, just 2 of them, right? Someone asked, is the handbook only for Bhakti Shastri? Yes, because for others, I'm so sorry. It takes so much time to correct the essays and mark the answer sheets, and I don't want to go through that. So much of hard work. So you can use the handbook, you can write the essay, and you can self-correct the essay, no problem. But don't send to me for correction. So I can share the handbook, no issues. I'll share it everyone, but then you have to do that on your own. So there in the essays, it's pretty clear. Just choose 2 of them, and the CBAs. I'll raise the CBA. I'll explain that also quickly. Yes, page number 26. So please, those who are Bhakti Shastri students, look at these questions. We completed chapter 1, and it shows how many questions are there from chapter 1? 11 questions are there, right? So this is your preparation material for exam. You find the answers to these questions, write down in a notebook, study from there for the final exam. Chapter 1 has 11 questions, chapter 2 has more, like that. In total, how many questions are there? 63 questions are there. Not much, 63 very short answer questions. So that's your question bank for first unit exam. Like that, there will be a question bank for second unit, question bank for third unit, fourth, fifth, sixth, finish, right? So not that difficult, pretty easy. If the examination pattern was that we'll ask you any question from anywhere in Bhagavad-gita, then who would pass? Very difficult for people to pass. So the question bank is there, you prepare from there. We give 1 or 2 surprise questions, that's all. What is the word limit for the answers? For the essays, it's 800 to 1000 words, not more than that. for the essays, 800 to 1000 words. And for their examination answers, depends on the question. Based on the basis of question, you write the answer. 2 marks question, 4 marks question, 6 mark question. Accordingly, you write the answer, right? So, okay, any other doubt now? Sri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, I have few questions. One is the shloka memorization. So, will there be a separate exam for just for shlokas, like Viva?
Yes.
Okay.
For shloka, separate exam.
And second is the essays, So, the essays, can we write it like outside of the class, or it has to be done during the exam?
Outside the class.
Achha, okay.
You can write the essay any time. You can even write it today and send it to me. No problem. Right? The essay can be done anytime. There are 10 essays. You choose anyone from them. If you feel like writing it today, write it today.
2 essays from the 10 topics that you have.
For unit 1, which is first 6 chapters of Gita. Then unit 2, another set. From that, you have to choose 2. So for each unit, please remember, there are 6 units. For each unit, you have 2 essays to submit. You have 1 shloka exam to give. You have few MCQ online quizzes to solve. And you have 1 final written assessment paper. And I put all that in the calendar. On the calendar, the shloka exam date is also given. The written exam date is also given. Everything is given. So by that last date of unit 1, your everything should be over for unit 1. Shloka should be over, written exam should be over, essay should be over, and MCQ quizzes should be over. Once unit 1 is done, then we go to the next unit, like that.
Prabhuji, one question can I ask?
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji, those essays, when we write down, how do we submit to you through our WhatsApp?
I'll send you those details later. First you write, no? First you write, right? Then I'll send those details how to submit.
And our examination papers also, once they have written and all.
That we will share the details. Don't worry. First you write the essays, and then we'll share how to send those essays. You can even type the essays. You can write it manually, or you can type the essays, no problem. You can type in Word document, you can type, and you can submit the document. It's easier even to correct those documents. Or you can write. You can write 800 to 1000 words. Yes. Yes. So essays are tough, and maximum weightage is for essays, because that is to test your understanding. 60% weightage is on essays. How good essays you write, how nicely you understand, right? I'll tell you how to submit. Don't worry. First you do complete how to submit. I'll tell later. Okay, fine. And Rashi Mataji, done?
Yes, Prabhuji. And this closed book assessment. So just to revise, like all those questions that are given in the handbook, those questions will be only asked in the
out of those, few questions will be asked.
Okay.
Like there are 63 questions, so maybe 10 or 12 questions will be asked.
Okay, and that has to be written during that Zoom exam time.
Zoom exam time. We'll have a 2-hour exam meeting, and during the exam meeting, you have to write that and submit that right away after that. Right? Essays you can submit anytime, but closed book, it's during that time. Shloka also during that time.
Okay.
Yeah. Hanit Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, the shloka is going to be an oral one, or we are supposed to write down?
Oral.
Oral. So we are supposed to say the shloka and the meaning, and that is done orally online during the
Correct.
And the closed book exam, we have to write down physically, or we can type in the system and send?
Write down physically.
Okay. We cannot type and submit.
No, better I prefer writing.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Essays you can type.
Okay.
Sarvadevi Radhika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, the sloka exam, I remember the orientation, Prabhu said 2 slokas for each unit. But it will be chosen by Prabhu, or we can recite any 2 slokas?
No, you have to memorize all 12. Out of that, I'll ask 2.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, request. I think you should give us an opportunity to select any two and tell us.
No, no. Bhagavad-gita has 700 shlokas and you have to memorize only 40, not 700, no, just 40. It has 700 shlokas.
45, Prabhuji.
45. So it's pretty less. And 45 shlokas means what? 1 week for one shloka, 45 weeks done. 1 year. You give 5 to 10 minutes every day, you can memorize the shloka. It's not difficult. Just you have to take out time for that. If you sing it well and then you try to memorize, you can. Kavita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, we already have submitted one essay and we have done one quiz for Gita Sastri course.
But not, this is the second one.
So, but it says quiz 1 again. Shouldn't it be quiz?
Okay, fine. I'll change it to quiz 2.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I was confused. Thank you.
Okay. Paramita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have submitted one essay, so I want to know, is it among those 12 essays? That one is?
No, that is different. What you have submitted was optional for you. I told that is for Gita Sastri students. That was optional. That is not for Bhakti Shastri consideration.
Okay,
Fine.
Prabhuji.
So that is
Hare
not
Krishna.
including that 12. Neha Mataji.
Prabhuji, I have 3 questions. I will ask the first one. Papa karma cancels. Does Papa karma cancel Punya karma?
No.
And the second question is the meaning of the word plenary portions.
Plenary portion means, actually in Sanskrit, it's called ansha. Ansha means part or kalaha. So it is translated as plenary portion. So how do you understand? You just understand in this way that the Supreme Lord expands himself into another form, and that form into which he expands has some qualities from the original. So that is called a plenary portion. Got it?
And third question is, what is the meaning of Arjuna?
The word Arjuna can have so many meanings, right? One meaning of Arjuna is white, fair, right? In that way, there are so many meanings of Arjuna. I don't know exactly what meaning here we should take in this context. It can have many meanings. I can check later and tell you what all different meanings the word Arjuna can have.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
In case we have any difficulties.
I cannot hear you clearly.
Prabhuji, can you hear me? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. If we have any difficulty during the week, can we ask you on WhatsApp?
Yeah, you can ask me. Yes, no problem. Will I check pronunciation also? Of course. When you say shloka, then it means pronunciation. So we have to check pronunciation. If you are a Chinese and then you ask me, will you check pronunciation? I may say no. But if you are an Indian, you're asking me if I check pronunciation, then yes. So if you're from India, then you should have a good pronunciation. If not good, at least normal pronunciation, some understanding of the Sanskrit pronunciation. All right, we'll stop here. See you next week. Hare Krishna. Oh, we have some more hands up. Kalpana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I would like to know how this expansion is different from avatar.
Not a topic of today, Mataji.
Okay. One more. Mayavad, they worship like the avatar wala Krishna, right? They don't worship the absolute truth.
Well, Mayavad, they have a very different understanding of what is avatar. And our understanding of avatar is different. What Mayavad is considered as avatar is very different. They think that when the Lord comes, then the Lord also accepts a body like us.
Okay.
That's what they understand.
That is avatar only, no?
No, that's not avatar. That is a wrong understanding of avatar.
Okay.
Our understanding is not this, that when Krishna came, he had a body like mine or yours. When he comes in the same body as he has in the spiritual world.
He comes in spiritual body only.
Spiritual body only.
That means we cannot touch him, right? Is it like that?
You cannot touch him, but not others cannot touch him. Those
But
are
the
qualified.
pure devotee and gopis and all, they can touch, right?
Because they also are spiritual, no?
Oh.
Right.
So if we were born at the time of Krishna avatar, like suppose, then we would have got the opportunity to see him and touch him, is it?
Not necessarily true. Because so many people existed at the time of Krishna, not everyone was able to see Krishna or see Krishna as Krishna actually is. Krishna manifested himself in different ways to different people. He's God. He can come in front of you in a particular form and in front of me in a different form and in front of someone else in a different form.
So Brajvasi and all, they have seen like human being only, no? Like
They have seen as a normal person because they themselves are completely pure.
Okay.
The Vrajvasis are not ordinary, no? They all came with Krishna. They are part of the same team. So neither they are material, nor Krishna is material.
Okay.
So for someone who has material vision, Krishna will not be visible the way he will be visible to someone who has spiritual vision. Like giving you an example. We go to the temple and we look at the deity. So some people look at the deity as marble. Some people look at the deity as stone.
Yeah.
Some people look at the deity as a nice assortment of decorations.
Yes.
Isn't it? But those who are pure devotees of Krishna, they see actually Krishna there. They will see that deity dancing, talking, jumping, laughing, smiling, everything they'll see. It's one deity showing itself differently to different people, right?
But how to develop that vision, you know?
How to develop that?
That the idol is proper Lord. How we should develop that?
We have to become a good devotee for that.
Okay, we have to struggle.
That's the only way to develop.
Okay, Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. You were to also talk about the naming conventions that people are using so that the attendance.
I'll mention that. Yeah, please, devotees, make sure when you join with the proper name with which you have registered for the course, because we find it hard to mark your attendance. Sometimes you join with different names and we are not able to identify who is this person. So please join with the same names which you have registered with, right? It becomes easy for us to mark the attendance then. Otherwise, you will join the class, you'll attend the class and will not mark your attendance. So better you keep your name same all the time. Thank you, Hassan Prabhu, David Hassan Prabhu. Others can leave if you want to. It's time up. We are just taking extra questions.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please, in my case, I need help. I'm saying this because during the class you said, like a teacher, sometimes you are detached. So if, like a student, you have to ask. In my case, I need help. So I want to ask you directly to help me, because I am from a very different background and Krishna consciousness is very new to me. So most of the time I get confused with so many things and I really need help. This is my request.
So no problem, bro. We understand that. What you do is, even if you find difficult to understand, don't panic. You do your part, which is sufficient for you to clear Bhakti Shastri, right? So you study the books, you read through the books, and I'm also sharing a list of videos called Gita Diploma course, which are explanations on Gita on a little lower level for those who are very new to Bhagavad-gita. So you go through those videos at your time, and once you have done that, then you'll be able to understand what we are discussing here much better. So just give yourself some time. It's just that you need some little time. So you may not understand it today, but if you do the reading assignment and you go through those videos, after 2 weeks, when you again watch the recording, you may be able to understand. If you still don't understand, then you ask. You can even ask me on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome, Prabhuji. All right. Navnidhi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when we are talking about the absolute truth, you had said that the 5 subject matters of Bhagavad-gita, they are together called absolute truth. And again, in another context, absolute truth is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. How can we understand these two?
Those are 3 features of absolute truth. Not that those 3 things are absolute truth. 3 features. Features mean 3 ways of looking at absolute truth.
Then the 5 subject matters of absolute truth can be understood as the?
That is what you call as absolute truth.
Okay. And these 3 are the features of absolute truth.
3 features of absolute truth.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
But you put all 5 of them together as absolute truth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Prabhuji, please share the link now where we can submit the essays. Please share it again.
I'll share. Yeah. If you have done, I'll share. Today itself, I'll share the link.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Neha Mataji.
Prabhuji, can we have the list of those 45 shlokas which have to be by-hearted?
It's already there in the handbook. No, I showed to you. Already showed to you that. Page number 12 or something like that. Page 15, I think. See, the whole list is there in the handbook. All the shlokas that you have to memorize. Yeah, Bandana Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I just wanted to check that I have enrolled only for Gita Sastri. So I'm eligible for writing the test and the shlokas.
Which test, Mataji?
For that first to 6 chapters, like for Gita Sastri, the Gita course.
Yeah, which test? Like MCQ quiz you can solve, but
the online quiz, so we are solving that, but the other test which you're going to evaluate,
I won't evaluate. You can write, but I won't evaluate.
Why, Prabhuji?
Because there's no point, no. I mean, you see, the others, I have to evaluate because if I don't evaluate, I cannot give them certificate. So I have to evaluate. But in your case, even if I evaluate, then what's the point? The certification is not going to be on the basis of that. For that online quiz is sufficient. So you can write the essay and you can evaluate it yourself that, okay, this can be made better or something like that. Takes a lot of time to go through every single essay and then evaluate it.
Then Prabhuji, how do I come to know what my...
From the MCQ quiz you come to know, no? That is also one kind of evaluation. It's a different kind of evaluation. It's a time-saving evaluation.
And the shloka ones, Prabhuji?
For shloka, you are doing already Bhakti Shastri.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm doing Bhakti Shastri, Prabhuji, but...
It's the same shlokas, na Mataji?
Fine, fair enough, Prabhuji.
Huh?
Okay, thank you.
It's the same shlokas. What you are doing there is the same list of shlokas. So if you have memorized it there, then you know it here also, isn't it?
We have a test today, in fact, for that.
Yeah, we have a test today. So it's the same shloka. It's not a different shloka. So if it was a different shloka, then it's a different thing. It's the same shloka.
Fine,
Okay.
thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Neha Mataji, done or still having a doubt?
It is the PDF file is corrupted, Prabhuji. Handbook which I have downloaded, handbook.zoom download.
Okay, I'll share on the WhatsApp group again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it there already on the WhatsApp group, Prabhuji?
Yeah, it is there. You've shared it, Prabhuji.
Already shared, but maybe Mataji, you belong to the other group, na? I think that's why you may not have. Neha Mataji, you belong to the other group.
Yes,
right?
Prabhuji, I belong to the without certificate.
So I'll share that. But please, I request, if you can have the handbook, you can write the answers. Don't send me the essays.
No, I'll not.
Don't send me the questions for correction. Keep for yourself. When you do Bhakti Shastri again in future, then that time you can send for correction, right? All right. Okay, Anita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question in the shloka. You will just ask the shloka or you will ask the meaning and application?
Not application, just the shloka and its meaning.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, no application, just the shloka and its meaning. Fine, so I think we are clear. Students never get clear about the exam. even 2 days before the exam, there'll be questions. Which kind of questions will come? How many marks paper will be there? How much time will we get? It will be short answer or long answer. So all those questions keep on coming. I hope, but mostly it's clear, and you can start working on it. And essay link I'll share today, how to submit that, and also the shloka list to be memorized I'll share today. For the next class, I'll give you the reading assignment on Tuesday or Wednesday.